Good morning.
Good morning.
2 days late. Sorry. What?
Yeah.
1 day late?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. 1 day late. Wait.
1.5.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So, guys, yeah, we're sorry. We didn't do a video for Thursday morning. Wait. I'm confused. I don't even know what today is.
Today's Friday.
Oh, Friday. For Friday morning. Sorry.
I know.
But we're doing a video. I had my youngest daughter and my youngest son over. He hasn't been over in a long time. He's the one that graduated high school. Had him for 2 days. It was really fun. Played PlayStation a lot with him, basketball. Actually beat him once. So that was exciting.
And then we had your older daughters over.
And then my two older daughters came today for dinner with my two grandbabies. They're so cute, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A little baby.
I know.
So we
It
got
was nice. It was nice. We had a lot of family time the last 2 days, which was really, really nice.
Yeah. Sharon made awesome dinner. It's good.
Yeah, it was fun. I had fun.
Yeah.
We needed that.
Mm-hmm.
We absolutely needed that.
Yeah. So, and then we watched a movie,
All of us, the whole family.
well, the younger ones.
Yeah, we packed up this living room.
Yesterday.
So that's actually why we really didn't get a chance to do the video, because we packed up our living room with our younger ones, and we had family night, and it's something that's rare that we get a chance to do because we don't always have them.
The three younger boys and then my daughter.
Yeah, so
And
we just sat here and watched them
it was like
till really late.
2.5 hour movie. It was a Ready Player One,
Yeah.
which the kids wanted to see, and it was actually a really good movie. It was kind of sci-fi, not my type of movie, but man, the story was really good.
The graphics were good.
Yeah, so I got into it. It was a good movie. Remember, guys, before we get into the verse, I told you I was going to share a painting of an old Chevy I did. I finished it, so I wanted to show it to him real quick.
Well, first, share the original. I have the original.
Yeah.
So.
It might be too bright. You might have to lower it.
Yeah, I'll lower it down right now. So I'll lower it down, and so lower down the brightness, right?
Yeah, because it'll show up real bright on there. Oh, you got to be lower than that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. There.
Right there?
Yeah. It's weird how, like, when you put it against the screen, it shows too bright.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how it's perfect?
Oh, that is cool.
So that's the original photo.
Yeah. So that's the original photo. And I took that picture, actually. So.
Yeah. Blurry. Okay, so here's a painting. I got to give it to him. I'm going to try to give it to him Sunday. I wonder if he can come down to the church and pick it up.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, but let's see. I might have to...
You want me to stand up?
Let me see. Oh, there it is. Wait. Right. Go lower. Lower. Right there. That's it. You see? I see your little face over there. So that's the finished work. Yeah.
Here, let go of it.
What?
Move back.
No, they saw it. You can see it all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the whole thing's showing.
No, you can see the top. You can see the flowers.
Yeah, oh, those flowers. Yeah. So, and I just finished it, and I already got commissioned for another one. But I think I'm gonna change the whole thing. But just so you can kind of see the size of this one, it's a landscape. But this is called the ugly stage. Every painting you do has the ugly stage, but actually I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna completely change it. But I just wanted you to see. I got commissioned for another one. I'm really excited to do this one actually, and I look forward to. So I'll be sharing that. I had permission from the person that commissioned me to do it. She wanted me to share it as it's being done on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so people can kind of see the progress of it. Because I'm going to work more on it tomorrow.
Yeah.
and then over the next few days, kind of share how it's coming out.
Did you decide which picture?
Yeah, that one you
I
took.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna change it. It's a different perspective. Same river, actually. It's the same river,
Oh, okay.
but just from a different bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, that river goes down to that other bridge.
And that's pretty cool because I do photography and I like it because he kind of feeds off of my photography that I do, which is really cool. So
Yeah, and what's fun about it, like, I'll paint something Sharon does a photograph of, but I get like artistic license. Like, it was a blue sky today, but if I want, I can make it anything. I can make it, because I think I'm gonna make it a sunset where the skies are colored.
yeah.
I think that'll look better than just blue skies. You know how sometimes when the sky just looks red and yellow and orange,
Yeah.
I think that looks real nice because that'll reflect nice on that river.
Yeah. It's a beautiful river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing next. And so I'm excited, I love to paint. It's really fun for me. It's therapeutic, but it amazes me to see what comes out of a blank canvas.
You know which one I want you to do? Remember the one when I first moved out here and we had seen this beautiful little creek and there was actually horses with lambs and goats.
When they're having a meeting?
And I actually named that picture The Meeting. And it just looks so beautiful because it was out in the field and it was just a creek, just this very beautiful little creek. And at the end of the creek was this one lone tree and greenery. And under that tree was one horse.
It's weird.
One horse, a cow, and
a goat.
Was there a cow, goat, sheeps, and a whole bunch of sheeps and goats, and I think there was a cow, right?
Yeah, there's a cow.
A cow and a horse, and I called it The Meeting because it just looked like the horse and the cow were having a meeting with all these goats.
Yeah, it was
and
funny.
Sheeps and lambs, and it was just that one moment that I was able to take that one picture because after that creek dried up and never again did I ever see animals again. We've never seen animals there again.
Now they're not, and now they're gonna make houses there.
Yeah, and even to this day, like right now, you go by there and they're tearing everything down. They're making houses there, so that creek's not even gonna exist anymore.
It no longer exists. It was gone.
Really? Oh, see, and I was the last one to ever get that.
Darn humans!
I gotta share that with you guys before the end of this video. At the end of it, I'm gonna share it with you guys because it's just a beautiful, one of the most beautiful.
You have the
pictures.
photo?
Yeah, I do.
Not on that, right? Because that battery's dying already.
No, I have it here. Okay. But it's just beautiful. Yeah. But I do gotta share it with you guys.
But I do want to get into the verse.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. And at the end of it, I'll share it.
Today's verse. Sharon reminded me, this is probably a verse I quote a lot. Yes. One of my favorite verses. And she was like, what's that verse you like? And which is in Ezekiel. It's an Old Testament verse. Ezekiel 36:26. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26. We found it already?
Yeah.
Oh, show them.
Oh, okay. Will it show like this?
Yeah, but then zoom in so they can wait. Let's see.
You do it.
Yeah, first show them that. And then zoom in on the animals now so they can kind of see it better. Let's see. Oh yeah, look, you can see some of them. Mm-hmm. It's hard to make out, but there's a bunch of animals.
It was just beautiful, you guys.
I think they're having a meeting about humans.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. It's such a beautiful, and never again will that ever exist. So
she wants me to paint that.
I do.
Where are you gonna put it?
In here somewhere. Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Ezekiel 36:26 it's a special verse that I think is powerful. Ezekiel was a prophet in the Old Testament, and the Lord speaks to him a lot. I love the Old Testament because it gives us the character of God. God speaks through the prophets. So many times when the prophets write, it'll say, "Thus says the Lord God." In other words, he's saying, I'm not saying this, God said this. And that's what's happening here, because God is speaking to Ezekiel and he's telling him to write these things down, because Ezekiel would write them down and then he would share it with the land of Israel, with the people of Israel. And right here in verse 26, he says this. He goes, this is God speaking. "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh." Verse 27, "I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will keep my judgments and do them."
Oh.
Those two verses. Do you have the message there?
I do.
Read it.
It says, "I'll give you a new heart, put a new spirit in you. I'll remove the stone heart from your body and replace it with a heart that God's willed, not self-willed. I'll put my spirit in you and make it possible for you to do what I tell you and live by my commands. You'll once again live in the land I gave your ancestors. You'll be my people. I'll be your God."
So when you read that, what does it make you think of?
Just a whole heart surgery. Open heart surgery. Like, it's like when you're waiting for a heart transplant and you're already on your deathbed and you're about to have open heart surgery.
What do you think he means when he says your heart of stone?
Your heart's been hardened.
I think life does that to us.
Yeah.
Situations, letdowns, people turning their back on you, betrayals.
Yeah, you become so, misery, heartbreak, and everything. And it's not always that you just become bitter, and it's not always just bitterness. But I think people sometimes harden their heart because they're afraid. They guard it so much that they just become afraid.
Yeah. I was like that.
So was I.
I still can be at times, to be honest with you.
You know how when you remember when we were little and you would get on the monkey bars? Remember the bars, those metal bars that we would actually go, the monkey bars, and you'd go, and we'd love playing with them so much. Mm-hmm. And you'd play with them so much that we would end up with the
callus.
Yeah, with the blisters. Mm-hmm. But before it become blisters, it becomes so callous. Mm-hmm. And
after the blisters.
Yeah, even before though. Before it really, really break open, they'd become hard. So you knew it was gonna break. So I really believe that's what happens to our heart. It becomes so callous. And before it breaks open and before all that happens, it becomes so hard and callous. But it's not always necessarily that we become bitter and everything. There is just so much pain and everything. And I think that happened to me, and like you said, you can be like that sometimes too. But I think you do that. Do you do that because of anger, or do you do it to protect your heart?
I think it's more of a protection.
Yeah.
It's more of a protection, but somebody says, well, if you do that now, then that means you still have the heart of stone. And I'm like, no, this is a different scenario, different situation. What he's talking about is when we have a heart of stone. Because, as we all have defense mechanisms, mm-hmm. even Christians, mm-hmm. we have defense mechanisms. Nobody wants to hurt. Nobody wants to feel made to be belittled. Yeah. We all have our defense mechanism.
Well, God says, guard your heart.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good one. Yeah. But in this context, where I can truly say that God did a work in me, is because I was full of hate. I was full of anger and violence, and I remember, like I was incarcerated, and all of a sudden, like God shattered that heart. And I realized in Scripture, He didn't shatter it; He removed it.
Yeah.
And He says, I love the fact that He says that I will remove it. So it's like He's not saying, I'm going to fix your heart. He says, I'm going to give you a brand new one. He says, I'll take out your heart of stone and I'll put in a heart of flesh. I love the way the Message says it, where it says, I'll take out your heart and I'll put in a God-willed heart.
Yeah.
That has the will of God in it. And then even it's like, if that's not enough, then He goes, and I'll put my Spirit in you so you can follow my commandments. Because nobody can force themselves to live a Christian life. Mm-mm. I see people try sometimes. They come to church and try to do the Jesus thing or the church thing. They burn out really fast, 2-3 months tops. Because if you don't have a new regenerated heart, you don't have the will of God. You have your will still.
Yeah.
But when God gives you a brand new heart, did you know, like a few months into my incarceration, after I got saved, I actually begged God for my heart of stone back.
Really?
Because it's like all of a sudden I felt everything. And I'd gone through years and years of not feeling nothing. And all of a sudden I felt the heartbreak. I felt the pain. I felt the desperation. I felt all these things. And I'm like, God, I can't do this. I can't. Maybe I'll just serve you when I get out. I can't do this. I can't do this time with this new heart you gave me. Give me my heart of stone back.
I'm not ready. Yeah.
And that was, and it's like, I just love that verse because remember how I was saying when we read stuff, take it as a promise.
Yeah.
So when you read this, guys, maybe you're not a Christian yet. And maybe you're watching this video and saying, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's because you have a heart of stone. Nothing can penetrate it. Like we've said before, I've said this before, but it made even more sense with the book that you told me to read. But I've said this before. I said that a lot of times we don't want to feel pain. We don't want to feel hurt. Somebody's betrayed us. Somebody's backstabbed us. So we build a wall around us to protect us from people hurting us. And before we know it, we realize, not only can people not hurt me, now I can't get out.
Yeah.
And now you're trapped within your own walls.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me of that book we read.
Yeah.
So it's like we build these walls to try to protect us, and it ends up blocking us from everything.
Yeah. We build our own prison.
Yeah, we build our own prison.
We build our own prison, and we're the ones, it's like we keep ourselves inside and keep ourselves from everything.
Yeah, even from God.
Yeah.
It's like we had trouble here because we have Wi-Fi in this living room, but this house was built in 1929.
1929.
Yeah, this house was built a long time ago. So the walls are like not like new houses. Like this is a real house. It's not the little cardboard boxes they make now. So the walls are thick.
Yeah.
So we were having trouble with the Wi-Fi getting upstairs because there's so much brick and mortar and that it wasn't allowing the Wi-Fi to get around. And it made me think of that right now. That when we build a brick wall against people so they won't hurt us, we end up also blocking ourselves from God.
Yeah.
And it's like people can be like, man, I can't hear God. I can't hear God. It's like, of course you can't, because you have built yourself into a prison. But thank God that's why Jesus says that He came to set the captive free.
Yeah.
So if we're captive in our own prison by a wall we've surrounded ourselves with, trying to protect ourselves, but then we're trapped in it. And Jesus says, I came to set the captive free. I came to set you free from your own walls.
Yeah.
And I love that verse. You know, that it's a promise.
It is.
It's a promise that he'll do that he'll change us, you know, and to live a new life, and to have a new heart, and to have a heart for things, you know. And I think that, but I think it's ongoing as a Christian, because I think as Christians we can become calloused.
Yeah, we can.
And we have to be very careful of it. I had a pastor tell me, right, I remember talking to him, telling him, I know I'm called to pastor a church way before House of Rest, maybe a year before House of Rest. And I sat in his office, and he tells me, David, he goes, I might have asked him, what advice do you give to somebody that's about to start a church? And this guy had been pastoring for a lot of years, and this is wisdom. He says, he goes, you need to guard your heart, at the same time be compassionate. He goes, because people are going to come, and some of them are going to hurt you, and some of them are going to walk away from you, and you're going to love these people, and you're going to love their families, and like nothing, they're going to disappear out of your life. He goes, you cannot carry that. Just understand that people come and people go. They're never yours to begin with. They either belong to God, or they never belong to God in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, he goes, do not let your heart be calloused. You have to grow a thick skin, not to block yourself from these people, but at the same time to realize that God has given you a new heart. And with that new heart, sometimes it's so easy to break it. He goes, and just be careful and love the people that God brings to you, and love them with everything you have. And if somebody walks away, don't let it make you bitter, because what will happen is you'll end up being a bitter pastor.
Yeah, and it's true.
You'll grow bitterness, and 10 years down the line, you're just bitter pastor.
It's really, really true, because I think I think a lot of the times, I mean, this can happen when people have gone through abuse, when people have gone through a lot of things. If you live in the past and in the things that have happened to you, and you carry that with you, then you end up living in that bitterness, and you end up living in that, and then you start to treat your future like that.
Yeah.
And those are the things that you can't carry with you. And that's one thing that even I've even learned, that you have to learn to let those things go, and you can't allow those things to callous your heart. Because can you imagine that if I came into my marriage and treated you, or held everything that everybody ever did to me in my past and blamed you for it?
Yeah, like I have to pay it.
You know, that would be horrible, because of the things that I went through in my life, you know, and it's like that would not be right, you know. And some people carry those things on with them, and they carry that baggage.
And sometimes it wants to pop up.
Yeah, it does.
And that's something we have to be conscious of.
And exactly. And you know, and those are things, you know, and I learned really, really, really early on, because you know, people would tell me, you know, man, the things that have happened to you, you probably hate men, and you hate this. And I'd be like, actually no, you know, because every person is individual. You can't judge everybody by the person that hurt you. You can't do it. Because if I lived my life like that, can you imagine how miserable my life would be?
And I remember, though, in the beginning, I having known some of your testimony at that time, some of the experiences you've had in the past, I remember a few times having to tell you that I would never lay hands on you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I made promises. I'm like, hey, I've never done that, and I never will. I will never, ever will. I might get angry, you know what I mean? And I might say mean things, or out of anger, or just get mad, or we might argue. I can't promise you we won't argue.
Yeah.
I said, but I will never lay hands on you. And it's like, why do I feel like I had to do that? Because it happened to you in the past. and I wanted you to hear it from my mouth.
Yeah.
You know?
And I remember that there were moments that I would tell you, hey, don't do that, because it would, there were things that would trigger, and I would have to communicate that with you and tell you, and that's when I would realize, oh my God, there's still things that sometimes resurface things, that I felt like, man, Lord, you gotta help me in those areas, because sometimes we don't realize that there's still certain things that can still, make you trigger, make you think about things. And
well, yeah, like we would get in disagreement driving, and I would get mad. And in the past, you're like, oh, here's where the swing comes. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm not gonna do nothing.
And I'd turn to you and I'd be like, please don't say that, or and you'd look at me like, what do you think I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
But the thing is that I had to relay that to you.
Yeah.
Because if I was somebody that had that callous heart still, and everything, the thing is that those were still scars.
Yeah.
They're to me, they've been my beauty scars, but the scars are still there.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they're reminders and still scars, doesn't mean that I didn't go through them.
Yeah.
And so it is a hard thing for people to go through, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna treat you,
Yeah.
Like my past.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, the last thing I want is for you to ever fear me. I mean, if somebody messes with you, they better fear me. But,
Me too, babe. Me too. Don't worry.
But like, that's a whole other subject. As men, we're called to protect our families. And that's ingrained in a man and in a woman too. Off subject, but I remember Angel, my brother, saying,
Can I do my coffee?
he goes, imagine a couple with a little child, and they're walking with their little 4-year-old child. Let's say a dog comes out of nowhere in attack mode. He said, the father will look around for a weapon to hit the dog with. He goes, that's their instinct to protect. He says the mother would throw herself in front of the child and would rather get bitten instead of the child.
Which is very true.
So, and I was like, that's. I'm like, you know what? That's true. If a dog came, I would look for a stick or something. I'm gonna hurt this dog. I'm not gonna let it hurt my child. And the mom is like, I'll throw myself at the mercy and get bit.
I'm like, let's go. Let's do this.
And it's just an interesting perspective, because I imagine when I was a child, my mom would have got bitten for me. That's just a mother's instinct, I guess. I
think it really is, where we'll jump in front of the car. I can't even tell you how many times that I remember when my kids were little, if I seen something coming their way, I'll go push them out of the way, and I didn't care if something came to hit me first. I think it's just it is a motherly instinct, It really is.
Yeah. And for men, it's to protect.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop that dog no matter what, and it's like kind of off subject of what we're talking about, but
it's okay though. It's relevant Bible talk.
Yeah. But in summary, guys, I trip out when people talk to me about my past. Sometimes I get comments or emails. People refer to me in my past or the music I did in the past, and it's like it's so foreign because it feels like they're talking about somebody else. But you know what? In essence, they are talking about somebody else, because that somebody else, because our heart, that's our spirit, that's our personality, that's our character. And if Jesus says, "I'll take out your heart of stone," that means that person does no longer exist. And he goes, I'll give you a new heart, an uncalloused heart, a heart that's still soft, a heart that is still pumping fresh, a heart, that feels, that is moved, and so in essence, it's not me anymore.
Yeah.
I've been given a heart transplant. You know, and that's the whole thing is, if you feel different now that you're in Christ, it's because you are different.
For me, when I came to know the Lord, I remember after going through a lot of the abuse and going through a lot of that at a really young age, I remember people would always come and tell me, oh, you gotta forgive, and you gotta just love, and it was always about love, 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 love. And I grew up with that mentality that I can never hate or never any of that, So I kind of grew up always feeling that. And I grew up never feeling that way. I thought like, well, I gotta love the person who obviously did that, to me. And so the day came when they were on their deathbed. I took care of them. I loved them through it, and all of that. And people would tell me, well, how can you be there by their side, after they did everything they did to you, after they hurt you, after they abused you, after everything they did? And I'm like, well, my heart doesn't know what it is to dislike, or I forgave them because I needed to forgive them. That was for me. And I did forgive. But the thing was that I never knew that it was okay for me to hate the action of what took place. See, I didn't hate the person, but I disliked the action of what happened to me. And I thought that I had to love the action of what took place. And, when the person passed away, I was able to finally feel free, and I felt that it was okay for me to hate what happened to me. And I felt free after.
Yeah.
I forgave them, loved them, but I was able to dislike what had happened to me. And it felt like my heart finally felt free. Like my heart didn't feel hardened anymore.
Yeah.
For some reason, if that makes any sense at all. Does that make any sense at all? I felt like I can actually finally breathe, because it almost felt like I was in my own prison for so long because I didn't understand much. And when I was able to finally dislike what had happened to me, I felt free because I was able to truly forgive them.
I'm just curious, who told you had to love that action? Was that your understanding or your misunderstanding, or did somebody teach you that?
I think it was just the way I felt that I had learned it.
Oh.
I felt that I would never get mad. I never disliked stuff because I thought that it was bad. I thought it was just bad for me to ever dislike anything.
Do you think you were taught that? Were you given wrongful teaching?
Oh. I was taught that.
You have a better teacher now.
Yeah, I do have a... Because you know why? Because I actually, now I know who truly lives in me.
Because we take out the filter of religion. We take out the filter of all that stuff, and we have a direct line to Christ, where we can read the word for what it is, not reading the word for whatever ministry you belong to or whatever denomination you belong to. Can you imagine? It's like, can you imagine going outside and never really truly seeing the world how it looks? You always had to have red sunglasses or yellow sunglasses or green. And can you imagine seeing the world through, you know how sometimes you get glasses and they're colored?
Yeah.
That's religion. That is saying, this is how the way the world looks. And they're red sunglasses. And all of a sudden somebody comes along and says, you can take those off and see the world without that. Pull that religion off, pull that ministry out, take out all of that stuff and look for the beauty of the world and what it looks like. That's what happened.
But at the same time, I'm going to say that I'm not always going to blame it on just religion too, though.
No?
Because I really truly believe that I came to a place where I kept myself busy, because I did come to find a place of refuge, and I kept myself busy because I needed to stay busy, because I felt safe. So I kept myself busy in the things of God, thinking that I was doing the right thing. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? So I didn't take the time to do like what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I didn't keep myself in the word. I didn't do all of that.
Like training wheels, maybe?
Yes. Yeah.
Training wheels are fine for somebody so they don't fall.
So I kind of kept myself also busy with ministry. So it was both. It was a little bit of religion, and it was at the same time that I kept myself so busy in ministry because it was my place of refuge. You got to remember, you have a young girl who had been gone through so much abuse, gone through rapes, gone through so much in my life
Yeah.
that I felt safe. I felt safe in the things of God. So when you have somebody who's coming so broken,
Yeah.
she just wants to bury herself so much into the things of God and stay busy because she's scared to go back into the world. So yeah, I guess, it went hand in hand, religion and myself.
Yeah, 'cause
so it was the choices that I made
When
as
somebody is just learning to ride a bike, training wheels are perfectly fine. But if you're riding those training wheels for 20 years, there's a problem.
well. Yeah, I guess, but it wasn't for 20 years. I guess, it was at the beginning of my walk.
Yeah.
I'm going to say for maybe the first, 5-8 years. And then after that, I did start to learn to walk, thank God.
Yeah. But I think most, like I said, everything we're saying is that he gives us a new heart.
Yeah.
He gives us a new heart. And we have to make sure that we purposefully don't let that heart become calloused.
Absolutely.
That new heart. Because I've met some bitter Christians to where I'm just like, were you ever saved? And honestly, I think they were saved, but they allowed their new heart to become calloused and bitter. And they come off bitter on Facebook. They come off bitter in Instagram. They come off bitter in fellowship. Where I'm just like, seriously? Like
Makes you wonder, were you even ever saved?
It's like everything you post is bitter, man. So were you ever saved, or did you just allow the world to callous your new heart all over again? Because I don't see no life in your post. I don't see no life in the way you talk, in the way you share.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
I know. I see it too.
Yeah, it's sad.
And sometimes I just feel like if you have something to say, why don't you just go say it to the person, instead of...
You release
talking
yourself.
Talking in parables and,
Just release yourself.
Yeah, just say it.
So, all right, guys, this is our longest video we've ever done. Maybe we're giving you a double because we feel guilty for not doing a video yesterday. This is this will be 38 minute. So, all right, guys, have a great weekend. Have an amazing Father's Day for those of you that have fathers still, or are fathers.
Uncles, brothers, grandfathers, stepdads. And
and if you don't, you still have a Father in heaven that loves you.
That's right.
So, all right, guys, we're still going to go live on Sunday for our Sunday service. So God bless you guys. Love you guys, and see you on Sunday service at 10, and then on Monday morning.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good morning.
Good morning. You almost said good night.
I know. Bye.
Bye, guys.